The mythologies of many worlds tell of a time when the gods walked the earth before, for varying reasons they depart. Gaecia is not one of those worlds. They never departed. Coming into being at the beginning of the Second Age, the gods fought in the dark wars against the entities that came before them, driving them underground and claiming the surface world for themselves. They created the plants and animals of the world together, but each in isolation made their greatest works, the races of the world in their own image. The fledgling races looked up to their godly masters and worshipped them all equally, and the gods ruled them together. However, this way of living eventually proved unsustainable. The petty disagreements of the gods manifested in preferential treatment of their own creations and ignoring the ones of those they wished to spite. Centuries of squabbling and bickering eventually boiled over and turned into the Titan Wars. The gods fought each other, and the races of the world were dragged into the conflict. Generation upon generation fought one another, bleeding and dying at the behest of their gods, whose anger blinded them to the suffering of their children. It seemed like it would never end, that there'd be no resolution to their disputes, with each god too proud to ever admit fault. During the Battle of Scarlet's Peak, the unthinkable happened. Ulfgar, god of the dwarves, died. Caught off guard from a surprise shot by an elvish warrior, Ulfgar was dealt a mortal blow by Sailor and goddess of the elves. The result of this duel effectively ended the wars, the hatred of the gods tempered by their grief. They looked at the world around them and saw the results of their combat and repented. They swore an oath to each other to not let such devastation occur again. And so as the Third Age began, they divided Gaecia into territories and took their own children there to rule them. And so it has been for 3 millennia, each race living in their own lands, ruled by those who are both king and god. While they abide mostly within the constraints they set upon themselves, tensions are arising anew, and people fear that a new war is on the horizon. The mythologies of many worlds tell of a time when the gods walked the earth before, varying reasons they depart. Gaecia is not one of those worlds. They never departed. Coming into being at the beginning of the Second Age, the gods fought in the dark wars against the entities that came before them, driving them underground and claiming the surface world for themselves. The mythologies of many worlds tell of a time when the gods walked the earth before, for varying reasons they depart. Gaecia is not one of those worlds. They never departed. Coming into being at the beginning of the Second Age, the gods fought in the dark wars against the entities that came before them, driving them underground and claiming the surface world for themselves. They created the plants and animals of the world together, but each in isolation made their greatest works, the races of the world in their own image. The fledgling races looked up to their godly masters and worshipped them all equally, and the gods ruled them together. However, this way of living eventually proved unsustainable. The petty disagreements of the gods manifested in preferential treatment of their own creations and ignoring the ones of those they wished to spite. Centuries of squabbling and bickering eventually boiled over and turned into the Titan Wars. The gods fought each other, and the races of the world were dragged into the conflict. Generation upon generation fought one another, bleeding and dying at the behest of their gods, whose anger blinded them to the suffering of their children. It seemed like it would never end, that there'd be no resolution to their disputes, with each god too proud to ever admit fault. During the Battle of Scarlet's Peak, the unthinkable happened. Ulfgar, god of the dwarves, died. Caught off guard from a surprise shot by an elvish warrior, Ulfgar was dealt a mortal blow by Sailor and goddess of the elves. The result of this duel effectively ended the wars, the hatred of the gods tempered by their grief. They looked at the world around them and saw the results of their combat and repented. They swore an oath to each other to not let such devastation occur again. And so as the Third Age began, they divided Gaecia into territories and took their own children there to rule them. And so it has been for 3 millennia, each race living in their own lands, ruled by those who are both king and god. While they abide mostly within the constraints they set upon themselves, tensions are arising anew, and people fear that a new war is on the horizon. The mythologies of many worlds tell of a time when the gods walked the earth before for varying reasons they depart. Gaecia is not one of those worlds. They never departed. Coming into being at the beginning of the Second Age, the gods fought in a dark wars against the entities that came before them, driving them underground and claiming the surface world for themselves. They created the plants and animals of the world together, but each in isolation made their greatest works, the races of the world in their own image. The fledgling races looked up to their godly masters and worshipped them all equally, and the gods ruled them together. However, this way of living eventually proved unsustainable. The petty disagreements of the gods manifested in preferential treatment of their own creations and ignoring the ones of those they wished to spite. Centuries of squabbling and bickering eventually boiled over and turned into the Titan Wars. The gods fought each other, and the races of the world were dragged into the conflict. Generation upon generation fought one another, bleeding and dying at the behest of their gods whose anger blinded them to the suffering of their children. It seemed like it would never end, that there'd be no resolution to their disputes, with each god too proud to ever admit fault. During the Battle of Scarlet's Peak, the unthinkable happened. Ulfgar, god of the dwarves, died. Caught off guard from a surprise shot by an elvish warrior, Ulfgar was dealt a mortal blow by Sailor and goddess of the elves. The result of this duel effectively ended the wars, the hatred of the gods tempered by their grief. They looked at the world around them and saw the results of their combat and repented. They swore an oath to each other to not let such devastation occur again. And so as a third age began, they divided Gaecia into territories and took their own children there to rule them. And so it has been for 3 millennia, each race living in their own lands, ruled by those who are both king and god. While they abide mostly within the constraints they set upon themselves, tensions are arising anew, and people fear that a new war is on the horizon. The mythologies of many worlds tell of a time when the gods walked the earth before for varying reasons they depart. Gaecia is not one of those worlds. They never departed. Coming into being at the beginning of the Second Age, the gods fought in a dark wars against the entities that came before them, driving them underground and claiming the surface world for themselves. They created the plants and animals of the world together, but each in isolation made their greatest works, the races of the world in their own image. The fledgling races looked up to their godly masters and worshipped them all equally, and the gods ruled them together. However, this way of living eventually proved unsustainable. The petty disagreements of the gods manifested in preferential treatment of their own creations and ignoring the ones of those they wished to spite. Centuries of squabbling and bickering eventually boiled over and turned into the Titan Wars. The gods fought each other, and the races of the world were dragged into the conflict. Generation upon generation fought one another, bleeding and dying at the behest of their gods whose anger blinded them to the suffering of their children. It seemed like it would never end, that there'd be no resolution to their disputes, with each god too proud to ever admit fault. During the Battle of Scarlet's Peak, the unthinkable happened. Ulfgar, god of the dwarves, died. Caught off guard from a surprise shot by an elvish warrior, Ulfgar was dealt a mortal blow by Sailor and goddess of the elves. The result of this duel effectively ended the wars, the hatred of the gods tempered by their grief. They looked at the world around them and saw the results of their combat and repented. They swore an oath to each other to not let such devastation occur again. And so as a third age began, they divided Gaecia into territories and took their own children there to rule them. And so it has been for 3 millennia, each race living in their own lands, ruled by those who are both king and god. While they abide mostly within the constraints they set upon themselves, tensions are arising anew, and people fear that a new war is on the horizon. The mythologies of many worlds tell of a time when the gods walked the earth before, for varying reasons, they depart. Gaecia is not one of those worlds. They never departed. Coming into being at the beginning of the...
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chronvit. Today we're presenting episodes 12 and a half? 13? I'm not entirely sure. Of Gaecia, homemade Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign. I'm Crazy Fight. I'll be your Dungeon Master of the evening. I'm in this world. I'll be your guide through it. And I very much hope you enjoy your stay. With me tonight is Britty.
Hi, I'm Britty, still a token American. Hi, Plate. I'll be playing Fleet, the level 4 wave open hand monk, who just figured out there's more to her family than she thought.
Matt.
Hey, I'm Matt. I'll be still playing Phoenix White, level 4, Fire Ganassi Divination Wizard. And I was the one who accidentally gave this revelation.
Yeah. And that is it for now. We're hopefully getting Lumie very soon. There's no Riley and no Nat tonight. Unfortunately, it's December. Things like this happen. Travel on. So we're doing that's why it's like 12 and a half, maybe. We're not entirely sure exactly what will be happening today. I'll be winging with what I have and what I know I want to do. So, yeah. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, yes. This will be our last Gaecia stream of the year. Because next week is the 23rd, and that's just no good for anybody. And the week afterwards is my birthday. And
Happy early birthday.
I would love to play Dungeons & Dragons on my birthday. Because things are coded up at the moment, I don't want to put time pressure on other plans I have, like my parents and stuff. So, I don't think we'll be streaming then.
How dare you put priority on family instead of on your Dungeons & Dragons? How dare you?
Yeah.
It's almost like that would speak to an aspect of your character, Britty.
Yes, I don't know if we're necessarily doing the very first Wednesday in the new year. We don't know that far ahead, but keep an eye on our Twitter. We'll keep you updated as to when we'll be starting. Last time on Gaecia, our still unnamed group of adventurers, after preventing the demon outbreak that happened in the city of Guxenum from getting too much out of hand, they managed to only kill a impressively small number of 3 people, because they rolled a 3 and 3d6. But kind of after this, in the aftermath, they were greeted by a captain of the guard who took over the investigation. And so far, Mazoth, the wizard who was kind of conducting his magics at the theatre, is under questioning, as is the party. And so they all had a fun little interview with this rather intimidating dragonborn warrior. In the aftermath of this interview, several interesting things happened. Firstly, a cloaked figure followed them home from the barracks to the inn they were staying at. Gareth revealed that he is in fact not a noble. Has in fact been lying to pretty much everybody ever since
forever.
New friends. Necessarily since forever. Just at least since he met you guys, and a bit before. And Phoenix and Fleet had a bit of a moment where Fleet let Phoenix have a bit of a rummage around in her memory, and uncovered a startling scene, I guess, of Fleet's mother abandoning her on the footstep of the monastery on which she grew up. I kind of hear myself back. I think it's through Matt. Not a whole lot, it's just little bits and pieces.
Oop. Sound issues. I will try and address those.
Yes, that was kind of roughly where we ended the session. And I think we will start once more with you two, since you are the two we have at the moment. So it's kind of you just shared this vision You're kind of sat in the booth. It's still mid-afternoon. He's a corner, so you didn't draw too many looks. But you might have had a couple of people that looking over at the weird fire magic the Phoenix did. Fleet, as you're kind of sitting, reading, I guess, almost from this experience. Well, you are, able to recall the scene you just saw. It is very much the memory of a memory. What was locked in your mind is still locked, but you can kind of access it by remembering it, if that makes sense. It's not quite as tangible as a full memory, but you can definitely remember most of it. And we have
something.
a Lumie. Hello, Lumie.
Hey kids, I'm so good at remembering what time is.
It is 18 minutes past 8. Yes, hello, welcome to the stream. You never missed much. We are starting with Fleet and Phoenix in their booth, kind of post Phoenix rummaging around in Fleet's memory.
Post getting my mind opened up by a fire snake? Or was it a worm of some
Hey, I mean, if there's one way to guarantee your mind changing, that's one of them.
I suppose?
I wouldn't recommend it in most instances.
Hey, listen, if it's stupid and it works, it ain't stupid.
Words
That's-
to live by.
Debatable.
Yeah, anyway, you two are sat in your booth. I don't think you want to do, or are you just contemplating?
If I recall correctly, it's like late afternoon.
Kind of 4, half 4-ish. About then.
That was a lot. I'd understand if you probably want a bit of space after something like that.
No, we're talking about that, because that was a lot, and if left alone to my own thoughts, I don't know where that's going to take me, and that worries me. So we're sitting here, we're having a drink, and we're talking.
Fair enough. Might as well have a proper drink then. And Phoenix will order a cider from the bar.
I'll do a
2
cider
copper?
as well.
You know the price. 2 copper for you as well, then.
That was my last 2 copper.
You can freely break down silver into copper and gold into silver as much as you like.
Fleet just takes a long pull. Just half drains whatever mug she's got in front of her. Just heavily sets it down. Okay, let's process for a second. Have you done that before? Is that something that you do?
That was actually the first time I've cast that particular spell, and I am almost certain that is not how it's supposed to go. Although, I'll freely admit, I'm pretty sure the explicit purpose of that particular bit of magic is for interrogation, so it generally doesn't have quite a willing participant.
Worrying that you know the spell, but okay.
Well, it's been a case of we've run into a few people who, well, let's say the majority have decided it isn't worth keeping alive because we'd never get a particular bit of information. I thought I might change that.
You know, that's not a bad call. But beside the point, that was my mom. That was her. That was her.
Yeah.
I feel like I
last
just
time you
opened...
saw her, she was still alive, although clearly running from something.
Yeah, this has
Some
opened up questions. Who was she running from? Why was she running? Why was she...
What was a drow doing in the Badlands?
Yeah! There's so much to think about. I don't know where to start. And of course, because it's a pardon the language, but it's a fleeting memory.
This honestly might not have been the best time to delve into this, as much as I hate to say it. I don't think we're going to get many more answers here. You really need to head back to that monastery at some point and see what that letter was.
Yeah. That's a long time from now.
Yeah, definitely, well, maybe not something to think about. You could probably drive yourself nuts keeping that on the brain, but not exactly something to ignore either.
Yeah, not particularly. I mean, you already know how important the idea of family is to me, and the thought of just leaving someone behind? Letting them go?
Well,
I can't
she
imagine why.
certainly seemed to have a good reason.
It's still not something I can imagine doing. It would be like us in hope and never coming back.
Maybe it wasn't her choice. But, well, another question to add to the pile, I guess. And one better suited for
Her.
your monks.
I wish I had a way to talk to him. Just questions. And she just takes another long drink, downing the glass.
You were roaming when we found you. Is that typical for people from your monastery?
Not exactly.
So it's pretty unlikely we'd run into one on the road.
It's possible. It just depends on how they take their own journey. Most of them stay behind in the town and keep things moving along. I am as much as it seems obvious, I'm a bit of an unusual kind.
Yeah, questions for another time, by the sounds of it.
I hate waiting. Wish I could just be there now.
Seems like that's all we've got to do here in Guxman.
Yeah.
Although there is one particular mystery I wouldn't mind figuring out.
Which is?
Who's that person following us?
I'd almost forgotten about them. A rather good question.
Phoenix will look up to the room and go, I don't think Yarath's coming down anytime soon, and if I know Althea, she'll probably want to stick by him, make sure he's alright.
He did seem a bit distraught, and Althea seems good at making sure people are okay.
I don't know, maybe want to grab Ash, see if we can take a stroll, see if this guy tries to follow us again. Maybe pin him down and put that particular spell to better use. It's more intended use.
I don't know. I like the idea. I'm still not 100% certain how I feel about unwillingly prodding into someone's mind. I'll go get Ash and we'll figure it out.
Always a last port of call. Might be able to, well, if we have Ash with us, he'll probably be able to torque the more conventional way.
As you look around, you see Ash leaning against the bar, idly chatting with another orc. One who you saw kind of asked to speak with her earlier.
Ah, yes, the paramour.
I would like you guys to know that ever since Matt mentioned Ash's name, I've been furiously trying to finish the donut I was eating.
Well, sounds like you were in time.
Just.
Yeah,
Was it worth the cost?
Yes.
What did it cost you?
A donut.
Yeah, Ash is leaning against the bar. Is she still talking to the mystery dude? I got a name for him last week, didn't I?
I think you did.
You mean Ulrak
his name?
Bullhorn?
Yeah, that was him. I didn't actually write it in my notes.
Matt also has the keen mind feat.
As in, you write stuff down.
Shh, ruins the illusion.
I mean,
Yeah,
Matt knows
so
how
you
awful
came back
my
down.
character notes tend to be.
You're continuing kind of on idle conversation. You're not carrying on.
Oh, it is in my notes. I just couldn't read.
Phoenix will finish his cider and motion for Fleet to follow him over to Ash.
After you.
Hey, Ash, not interrupting, I hope?
No, not at all. If anything, although Ash doesn't mind talking to this guy, she seems slightly relieved to have an excuse.
You gonna introduce us to your friend?
This is Ulrak. Some.
Can't just nod at you.
He has some clan news. That's all.
Nice to meet you, Phoenix White. We borrow a friend here?
Of course.
Thanks, Ulrak. It was good to. Well, thank you for keeping me in the loop, as it were.
Be my guest.
And with that, Ash will down whatever drink she was still holding and go off with the other two.
Cool. You can.
Yeah, how do you feel
go back
about
to the booth
maybe?
you were in.
How do you feel about maybe picking up a tail?
Why would I want a tail?
Sorry, I forget.
Figure of speech.
How do you feel about tracking down that guy who was following us earlier?
Oh, that sounds violent. I'd quite like that.
Maybe violent out of sight, but potentially.
That's not a problem for Ash.
Well, he followed us
I
back
don't know
from
who he
the barracks,
was. I just
so
want to know, really.
followed us back from the barracks. So maybe heading back up that way will get him in the mood. And we're a bit of a less of a group, maybe more of a target.
That's if they're not just following and trying to actually hurt us, though.
Well, I think the plan is to find out either way. Shall we?
By all means.
After you.
So you stepping out the bar.
Yep, stepping out the bar and I guess beginning to make our way in the direction of the barracks.
Right. As you step out the front of the tavern, can I have a group perception? So 2 dice, however you want to distribute them.
I would gladly take advantage if someone were to
I will grant
assist me.
advantage to Fleet.
You know, that's an alright roll. That's an okay roll.
That's pretty good.
No, it's only a 19 on the dice. It's fine. It's okay.
24. All right. Hang on. Well, yes. So, as you kind of step out this bar and kind of have a furtive look around, Fleet, with your keen eyes, you easily pick out kind of across the street in kind of sheltered in kind of an alleyway. There is indeed the same hooded figure, kind of just idly looking at the front of the tavern, presumably waiting for you to come back out.
I spotted him. Where are we going?
I guess lead him on.
Well.
Wait and again, hushed voices as we kind of begin moving towards the barracks. Lead him on. Get him somewhere isolated. Ash, in your explorations of the city, were there any places a little bit less trodden?
Can I think of anywhere?
I mean, yeah, there's, as you get further out from the main centre, there'll be less people, but there's kind of dark alleys everywhere.
Oh, yeah, well.
Of this time
Okay,
of day, to get completely out of top of your lung scream distance, possibly a bit hard. It might
Alright,
even
we
be
won't.
more sensible to go like next to like a busy market or something if you want to completely drown out a loud scream. But in terms of just general secluded places, there's half a dozen you could think within 2 minutes walk.
Okay,
Yeah,
let
okay,
Ash
I'm
lead
all
on
with
then.
that.
So you heading to like a dark alley or whatever.
Yeah.
So you start kind of confidently striding along the street. Are you trying to act nonchalant? Are you checking over your shoulder? What are we doing as we're walking for this couple of minutes?
Phoenix would be walking as if they had someplace to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ash would be doing the same. She doesn't want to look like they're just meandering. They want to look worth following, right?
Yeah.
Fleet's keeping her eyes out just to be aware of things.
All right. Between Phoenix and Urashi, can I have one deception, one performance, and Fleet can make me another perception then.
Oh, I'm not good at either of those.
I got the same modifier for both, so it doesn't really matter. You
Yeah, I've got a -2 to both.
Guess I'll take the performance.
Classy. Nice. Okay. Fleet, you immediately pick up that your two companions, at the moment at least, are not cut out for
And
espionage.
someone's like, act casual, but like doing the complete opposite of that. Yeah, literally.
You immediately turn into a Monty Python sketch.
It's not cartoonishly bad, but it is decidedly non-convincing, if that makes sense. However, the figure, follows you out, 100 feet or so, and kind of after a couple minutes walk, you get to the alley that Ash found, and you kind of turn down it. You headed to the very end. You're waiting by the entrance. What's your plan of ambush, I guess?
I reckon we head to the middle of this alley because we want this guy to follow us far enough down, right?
Yeah.
But is there something we can do that makes it look like we're there for a reason? Maybe leaving Fleet to do it this time?
As long as Phoenix was saying, as long as we get a sight line on him, I can give us an opening to grab him. But we probably want to lure them at least a little ways into the alley.
I think you guys overestimate how good I am at performing. I'm just not trying to act like it.
Been pretty damn perceptive today, not gonna lie.
Yeah. I'm just worried that'll ruin it by
Are
rolling
there
something
any-
other than perception.
Are there any doors in the buildings along this alley?
There's like one kind of a third of the way in. It seems to be kind of just a side entrance to like a house or whatever.
Phoenix would motion to it as if to kind of stand around it, as if we were waiting to be let in.
Fleet will not. This
And
is
keep
a
an
good
eye on
idea.
keep an eye on the entrance to the alley.
So you kind of stand around as if you've knocked and you're waiting to be let in. Fleet, you notice kind of the cloaked figure kind of just dip their head around the corner, kind of see you waiting, and it kind of retreats back. So they're still kind of on the street. I'm still
which
using
case,
your previous
Phoenix-
rolls, by the way.
Phoenix will cast Mage Hand and have it move along the ground, occasionally knocking against the floor as if footsteps further down the alleyway, as if we had continued on.
Is your mage hand visible or invisible?
Visible.
He's not Arcane Trickster, therefore visible.
Disappointing. Should have been an arcane trickster.
Yeah, why didn't you go to
Um,
Rogue, man? God.
And then he will watch the entrance to the alleyway.
Right.
And the Mage Hand will make it sound like hurried footsteps.
I think we'll call this Yeah, we'll call this performance again
Ah, great.
because you're, kind of acting this thing out. I
Could've
mean,
been
it's-
worse.
it would pass in, a rubbish downtown production, possibly not Broadway, as footsteps retreating down a corridor. Things stay quiet at the entrance to the alley.
I don't think this is working.
Okay. Phoenix will start walking in the direction he just faked walking.
All right. You trying to loudly footstep? Or you just walking?
Just walking at a hurried pace.
Also, I assume Ash is following, and just given the size of Ash, you will hear her footsteps, I imagine. I feel like
Yeah.
she's someone who has to put effort into not being heard rather than the other way around.
All right. So Ash and Phoenix are carrying on down the alley then.
Yeah.
So Fleet staying by the door.
No, Fleet's gonna
Actually,
follow along as well.
No. Phoenix would motion for Fleet to stay, and then actually, click of his fingers, Moat would appear, just kind of hide themselves in a crook of the alleyway. Look around. He will surrender his vision to Moat, grab Ash's arm, use her to keep walking forward, and keep an eye on the end of the alleyway. As soon as the person, or if the person appears, he will switch back his senses and turn.
Yeah. Okay.
But we want Fleet relatively close to them.
Fleet
Okay.
I can
nods.
give an open.
Phoenix and Ash start walking down the corridor as so you saying like Moat right by the entrance or by Fleet?
Just anywhere that they get a decent vision down the length of the alley,
All right.
but out of the way.
Yeah. Okay. So as you two kind of carry on down the alleyway, making the sounds what normally makes as one makes their way down an alley. Kind of after 10-15 seconds or so, the kind of head of the cloaked figure will kind of peer around the corner again, see Fleet still standing by the door, and just shoop.
Before they retreat, Phoenix would
They
turn.
literally just shoop. Like they're
Yeah,
just
but it is
glancing
literally a
around
case
the
of
corner.
as soon as Moat sees them, Phoenix is spinning and casting Hold Person.
Okay, by the time you've turned around, they've already ducked their head back out of the way. They're literally just having a quick glance. It's like half a second's window. I don't know if you can turn around in half a second and cast a spell, but I certainly can.
Okay.
I didn't know you could
Guess we
cast
continue.
spells.
Well,
It's just
I said
saying,
I
our
said.
DM is
Did I say I could
actually
cast a
from
spell?
D&D.
I'm just saying I couldn't turn around and cast a spell in half a second.
Can you even turn around in half a second, though? That's the real question, Terex. I know you, and you'd definitely trip over.
Ouch!
In an alley, probably.
If he's not going to
He'll
reveal,
maintain that alley almost certainly.
if he's not going to reveal himself yet, Phoenix would motion for Fleet to catch up. Instead, we can ambush him in the alleyway instead of at the mouth of it.
Fleet will hop.
You'd have
along.
Moat fly up to one of the rooftops on either side and still keep an eye on it.
I think this guy's definitely expecting something.
Yeah, but is he expecting it to happen to him or somebody else?
A good question.
I say we keep going further down the alley until he either follows or doesn't.
I think we're going to have to turn off from the alleyway. Ambush him as he moves through it to catch up.
There's not really any way you can turn off this alley. It kind of
Oh, no, I mean, not turn
joins
off the
two
alley.
streets, basically.
Yeah, go to the next street, essentially.
Oh, right, okay.
Finish walking down the alleyway.
So you keep on walking. You're kind of almost towards the end when Fleet kind of keeping half an eye over your corner around Moat, I guess. We'll also both see another kind of quick glance around the corner, see you're all actually making your way, and it'll kind of just surreptitiously kind of slink around kind of into a shadow and slowly follow you.
Okay, as soon as he's about halfway down the alleyway. And hopefully we haven't left.
So you're almost towards the end of the alley. So, you've only got a couple of 5 seconds of his movement before you reach the end of the alley. In terms of ranges, it's only a 60-foot long alley. It's not that long.
Good to know. As soon as he's halfway down the alleyway, Fenix will turn, cast Hold Person, and this guy will roll a 6.
Sure. Let me just math in my head.
And he'll kind of pat Ash and Fleet on the arms immediately after. Give them the notice. Now's the time to act.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about people's foot speed. Yeah, all right, cool. So, as you kind of swirl and kind of reach out your hands and cast Hold Person, he's kind of crouching on, sneaking on the shadows. So he's kind of just in that position.
Yeah, this kind of heat haze appears around his neck and hands, kind of holding him in place, almost like handcuffs and shackles.
He's kind of, as I say, he's completely frozen. He's not moving at all. But he's halfway down the alley, so Fleet and Urashi could both run back before to get another chance to save.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you've moved back. What are you two doing?
Depending on how far away he is, I would step of the wind, get straight to him, and just try and push him into the wall so he's somewhat out of the way.
He's close enough you don't step of the wind. But
Okay.
Are you grappling? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
All right. Contested athletics then.
Well, that's not very good. Can you make athletics or acrobatics? Apparently.
It's athletics or acrobatics to escape. Athletics only to inflict.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can do that while paralyzed.
Oh, he might have disadvantage or something. It doesn't matter.
He fails either way. Just
Yeah,
barely.
right. You kind of put your arm kind of against his throat. You kind of shove him against the wall. He was almost against it anyway because he's frozen. He kind of just flops.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like when you've got a sheet of wood, you kind of just lean it against the wall. He's kind of now with his head leaning against the wall, in this kind of solid position with your arm against his throat. Urashi, you kind of catch up a little bit a couple of seconds afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is an axe near this man now.
Ash, not
Right.
yet.
Oh no, Ash isn't going to chop his head off in the alleyway, but
Yeah,
he doesn't know that.
By near, as in at his throat, or just out,
As in,
ready to be swung?
just out and large and obvious.
Okay.
Moat's going to fly up in circle and let me know if anyone seems to be approaching the alleyway.
Perception for Moat.
Ooh, I do not have the ability to toggle the advantage on my hawk. That's annoying. Ooh,
Roll
yes, I
it
do. One
twice.
sec.
I think it should be auto advantage.
I need to manually set it. It's keen sight.
Yeah, but I think auto rolls advantage for all these NPCs. I think.
Give it one more
Well,
roll.
just roll again. I don't know.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, as he kind of flutters up, he kind of takes a quick look around, kind of all the houses, and he kind of signals back to you that you're alone for now.
Good boy.
All right.
Kind of hear a tweet in your head.
We're gonna
Right
ask you a
then,
few
I
questions.
would recommend talking honestly.
We're
He
gonna
is
ask you a few
still a
questions.
lump of wood.
Because as long as I have his attention, that's more important. Because that axe is probably one of the least dreadful ways we can force the issue. Now I'm going to release this spell, and you're going to tell us, and you're not going to shout why you were following us. And then
And Ash will add, if you
Really
do
solid.
shout, you won't be able to shout for very long.
We just want to know why you're following us. Are the death threats necessary?
Who was threatening death?
Exactly.
Yeah, and click. Paralysis is gone.
What's your AC, Phoenix?
12.
You are not hit by the lob of phlegm sent your way, but it's clearly sent in your direction.
Hey, be nice. We're gonna ask you a couple questions and send you on your way. Why are you following us?
Ask all you like. I will not speak.
All right, well, we'll kill you then.
No.
Whoa.
Go
Hold on a
ahead.
second. There is a very good reason that I took this spell. And that familiar fiery snake will start to coil up his finger as he casts Detect Thoughts on this man. That is a wisdom saving throw.
Is it or is it wisdom saving throw to go deeper?
I think you get base thoughts automatically. It's a wisdom
Yeah.
saving throw if you
Yeah, I
want to
get the
go.
thoughts. Okay, so yeah, I will cast Detect Thoughts initially, see if I can get
Yeah.
anything out.
So there's this kind of fiery snake of flame, great words, will kind of twist around your finger and kind of slither through the air, kind of into his forehead, and much like happened with Fleet, although it's kind of weird seeing it happen to someone else, Fleet. You notice this kind of flaming snake just kind of pass into this man's forehead, and you kind of you feel the kind of feedback along the flame into your finger, Phoenix. I'm
I'm going to repeat. Why were you following us?
Stage 3 doesn't speak language, blah blah blah. Initially learn the surface thoughts of the creature. Okay. Or is most in its mind at the moment. Okay, its surface thoughts are fuck, I got caught, I'm not saying anything.
Hard way it is, and I will force the issue, as it were.
Probe deeper.
That is a 20. So I assume that passes.
It
The
does.
spell
Am I
ends.
ejected, or...
Yes, if it
Does it-
succeeds, the spell ends.
Right. Well, if you're going to be irritating...
He's feeling cocky. That 20, you are hit right in the face with a second glob of spit. It kind of just
Oh,
starts kind of
spitting is not honourable, kids.
it's kind of right in the eye, and it kind of starts to slide kind of down your cheek.
Phoenix will cast Produce Flame centered on the patch of skin that was hit by the spit so that it evaporates off. Very noticeably.
Phoenix and Beat can both see at this point that Ash is on the very, very edge of losing her shit.
All right, I'm gonna give you another chance because I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want either of these guys to hurt you. We just want to know if you're following us to make sure we're in the city or if there's some other reason. We just want to know, and if you let us know, we'll let you go. Simple as that. Seems fair.
I do not fear you.
You might not fear me, but I think you should fear these two.
I fear
Okay.
none of you.
Ferret,
Phoenix will cast a chromatic orb.
can I insight check him?
Does
Sure.
he actually fear us?
Is he actually scared? Because if
I mean,
he's
he's
genuinely
still
not
cloaked,
scared, that suggests
So
something a bit.
disadvantage because you can't really see his face.
Oh, we should have taken his cloak off. What are we doing?
Should have taken that off. Oh well.
I wouldn't said you were going to remove his cloak or hood rather.
Oh, Ash,
Oh!
you could have done so well.
It would have been
I
so
mean-
good.
You know you're not the
Heartbreaking.
scariest people in the world. Eh? There's definitely some people who wouldn't be scared of you.
Well, let's change that misconception then, and he will fire a chromatic orb, acid, just to the left of this guy's head, so that it splashes against the wall and begins to hiss in his ear.
It starts to eat through the stone, only a little bit.
I'm gonna flick his hood off now if I
Can
can.
you roll first? Can Phoenix roll intimidation, please?
Is Ash helping with that?
Ash was going to do something as well, yeah. So Ash was actually planning on raging because this is something I keep forgetting that my subclass makes me do. So I think this is the first time I'm actually describing it. But when she rages, she is basically, it looks like she's surrounded by ghosts now. So yeah, that's a
mean,
thing.
No, from what we discussed, you're not surrounded by ghosts. From
That's
the
what it
flavor,
looks like. When
But-
you choose this path of further, spectral warriors appear when you enter your rage.
yes, but from the flavor we discussed, that does not make sense, does it? Because we talked about it was whispers, not ghosts. You can make whispers.
No, I meant
appear
the
in his
rest of the
head.
time. When I'm actually raging, it's going to be ghosts, isn't it?
That
Or
is
he can
not
do
something
whispers
we've
in his head.
discussed.
Either way, I'm raging and letting the thing happen.
Yeah,
I don't wanna
you
say
can make-
whispers
you make
in his
whispers appear in his head for 6 seconds because your rage only lasts one turn.
Eric,
Unless you're
that was
attacked from one.
me misunderstanding what we were talking about then, because when I was talking about the whispers, that's not what I meant. Okay, never mind. I won't do that then. 'Cause that
My
seems a bit
understanding was
pointless.
that was you and I discussing what your thing was.
That is not what I thought we were discussing.
Right.
I
okay.
was not. I was discussing more of the out of combat stuff with it.
For the Twitch chat, we have many discussions off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, so my understanding was it was a subtle thing for now, and then we're going to explore it getting more powerful. It's not a instant army of ghosts appears around you.
I mean,
that's
that's what it
silly.
says in the book.
Yes, that is how it's one flavor, but we were discussing how we were flavoring it, and no one said army of ghosts.
I did not think we were talking about the combat stuff. I thought we were talking about more out of combat, and then. But
I
okay,
will lend
whatever.
Where I specifically referenced what it is with the
I
ability.
will lend advantage to Urashi's.
I
Oh,
mean,
no,
you can
dude,
look
dude,
intimidation.
your
You can look
intimidation is going to be better than mine. My charisma is a -2.
Anyway,
At that point, I will.
anyway.
Advantage.
Yeah, if Urashi's just
It's
standing
fine.
there,
Yeah, I won't
she's
rage.
helping.
I'll just look scary.
All right.
I thought orcs had proficiency in intimidation.
That would
Plus
make it a
two
flat
minus two is
0.
Yeah, it's still a 0.
Phoenix.
We are not very
boy.
intimidating.
He's on fire. How is he not intimidating?
Your magic is weak, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna try flicking his hood off now. Let's just
Okay,
get a better look at you.
As you flick his hood off, it is a decidedly unimpressive face. It's kind of almost cartoonishly stereotypical criminal. It's kind of the kind of buzz cut.
Oh. And we've lost our DM. Well, today's going rather smoothly, isn't it?
Don't worry, chat. I'm sure he will be right back.
Sure, he'll be back soon.
This is either a Discord or an internet issue.
Welcome back.
Based. Nope.
Is he here? Is he not? Is he coming back? Is he
He's
staying?
in. He's out.
You didn't
You
realize?
should hear
I
all
was whacking out. Okay, what was the last thing you heard me say? Hello?
Decidedly criminal face. Very stereotypical,
There you go.
cartoonishly criminal.
Yeah. So he's kind of got a stubbly buzz cut type thing, kind of scar on the cheek. He's not particularly handsome. Bit of the nose has been broken a couple of times. He's a human. Beyond that, is not particularly distinctive. He's kind of just regarding you as something akin to contempt.
Well, I don't know what I was expecting.
Right then, seems like we're going to have to continue this conversation elsewhere. And I'm not going to risk you with funny business, so a heat haze will appear around him, technically angled into the building, I guess, as I cast Sleep.
All right. Roll an D8. Blah, 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 blah. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, he is now asleep for 1 minute as he kind of slumps in Fleet's arms.
Could have just knocked him out for you.
Do it now.
Please let me hit him.
Fine, go for it.
Making sure you can line up your fist.
I'll prop him up so it's a good punching target, even though I feel bad about it.
No, I'm not going to punch him while he's unconscious. That's not honourable. But once he's not unconscious, that is number one on my list of
Okay.
things to do.
So Fenix sends him to sleep for a minute, and then Urashi's going to put him to sleep, knock him unconscious.
Well, okay. While we've got him asleep, has anyone got any alcohol in them?
I don't carry much with me.
I do not.
Something to make him look a bit boozed up.
Did you make him smell like alcohol?
I can make him smell like alcohol. No, I can't. I don't have that. I don't have that spell.
Don't have prestidigitation?
I really want to switch out Green Flame Blade for it, but I don't know if I'm allowed to, because Tash's rules are still in a bit flux.
Not mid-session, no.
Well, no, it's because new rules, wizards can do it on a long rest. They can switch out their cantrips.
We haven't discussed that yet. So
Yeah, which is why I haven't done it yet.
yes,
So
you don't currently have prestidigitation. So what is the plan? He is asleep for a minute.
I think we just move him back to the tavern.
Yeah, it's a bit suspicious carrying an unconscious man through town. Right, well, we're just gonna have to risk it. Ash, if you doing the honors?
You would be the best at carrying here.
Well, I meant to knock me out.
Sure.
part.
I'll do
He's
the
only
knocking out
gonna
part.
be he's only gonna be asleep another couple seconds.
God, I'm so excited.
And he starts to stir.
Whack!
Yeah, you can just knock him out. I'm not going to make you roll anything.
Punch him in the goddamn face.
Punch him.
No, you booting him, you punching him.
Right in his nose.
Right, so you kind of just sock him one, and he kind of eyes glaze. He is now out for an extended period. So you headed back to the tavern.
Yeah. Try and carry him like you would a drinking buddy who's had a few too many.
Oh, that's easy. So we kind of string him up between two of us, I guess.
Just
Between which two?
Weekend and Bernie's this the monk and the
Yeah. I don't think Fenix
Right.
is going to be doing a lot of carrying.
So to manhandle him back to the pub, or inn rather, like he's someone who's had a few too many, I'm going to need an athletics or acrobatics from each side of him.
And Fenix will use Moat flying above us to take us on a path that avoids guards.
Sure.
I'll take
Oh, for
acrobatics.
fuck's sake, Ash!
Oh wow.
I'm doing okay.
You have inspirations. I
You
assume.
do have inspiration.
You know what? Yeah, I am blowing an inspiration on that.
That one.
Still not great!
But better.
Better than that one.
Yeah. All right. It's relatively convincing. You think his head might be dangling a bit too low, but Fleet, you're able to kind of just put your arm on his shoulder and kind of stick your thumb out to kind of support it somewhat. You get a couple of looks because it's about 5 in the evening, afternoon. But you are able to make your way back to the tavern without being apprehended by anybody. You kind of bundle him in through the door, You get a few glances from the crowd that's ever so slightly larger than when you left. You taking him upstairs?
Yeah, upstairs. Just
Going to kind of like put him in like Phoenix's room or something.
Yeah, sure. Incriminate me, but yeah.
You can like
I
bundle him in the bed or something.
I can attempt to interrogate him again, but not until I've had a chance to recover some. Give me an hour or so, and I can give it another shot. Until then, do we have any rope?
I've got a bit. Here, Ash, help me with this. We'll I guess tie him to the bed. Is that all right?
Oh.
Yeah, keep his hands apart.
Right, yeah.
Good job. Ash is a fairly innocent character, really. Otherwise, whew.
I'm not going to make you wrong that you can tie him to the bed fairly securely between the three of you. So you're like tying his like hands to kind of the headboard and then his feet to kind of the end of the bed.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if someone comes in, we've got a ready excuse.
Are you gagging him? Or
I misheard that.
No.
what do you think?
I think you heard correctly. We are going to gag him.
Shagging him.
Oh no. Are you going to put a nasty rag in his mouth?
Not a nasty rag.
Sure.
I'm sure there's a clean enough cloth in the
Alright.
room that we can.
I mean, yeah, you've probably got a napkin or something you can stick in his mouth.
Yeah.
All right. Socked him quite good.
Yes, she did.
Okay, so we won't have answers for another hour or so. Thoughts? Because that escalated a
Rather
little beyond what I was
quickly.
hoping.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't-
at least we know this guy had bad intentions.
Yeah, I was a bit worried that he might be like working for the guards and like keeping an eye on us to make sure we stay in town. I'm a little bit less worried about that, but also the ramifications of kidnapping someone have just come to mind.
I'm pretty sure it's only kidnapping if you keep them
As a
going.
native of Cathania, it would be highly unlikely that a guard would follow you around disguised. If a guard was going to follow you, it would be loud and proud. And
Yeah, they don't really
half
do that
quiet.
here, and it probably wouldn't be a human. They're pretty proud of the guards.
Still
Here.
still a bit concerned about, kidnapping a guy and keeping him tied up in a room, but I think we'll be fine.
Well, if he had no untoward intentions, which seems highly unlikely, we can let him go and let him be on his business. If he did,
I'll
then it's
kill him.
better that we know.
Two kinds of people.
I guess.
Right then, I'm gonna take a moment. Need to recover a bit of strength before trying this again.
So you're just going to sit next to him?
Take a short rest and
Yeah, I'm gonna take a short rest.
Right. As you all just, the three of you, well, four of you, I guess, hang out in this one-person bedroom for an hour. You can take a short rest.
Anyone got any cards?
No, sorry, but Ash will whip out like a bit of wood and just start carving it.
God, I need to get like a dragon chessboard or something.
I usually just meditate.
I like to keep the mind occupied.
Meditation
Being alone
is
with my
occupying
thoughts
the
never really
mind.
agreed with me. All right, yeah. So take a short rest, idle chit chatter. I imagine a bit of a tense atmosphere.
It's just Ash is Relaxed, actually. She's just fairly happily whittling away at whatever it is she's working on.
So as you kind of finish your hours of rest, you can hit dice, whatever you want to do. The figure starts to stir on the bed, kind of momentarily tests the strength of your bindings, but they seem to hold for now.
Oh, good, you're awake.
You are being stared at.
He is being stared back at completely shamelessly.
I mean, he's not ashamed.
Thanks, we'll stand
Neither
up.
is Ash.
Stand up, crack my knuckles, and go, right. We are going to ask this one more time. And I really hope for your sakes it works, because if it doesn't, we're going to be somewhat out of options, and that is not a good position for you to be in. So, and he will cast Detect Thoughts again. What is on this guy's surface thoughts?
The surface thoughts are much the same, except there's kind of the how am I getting out of this, and I'm still not telling them anything. Those are the kind of the surface.
Why were you following us? Now I need a wisdom save.
Probe deeper.
Oh, God.
Jesus, this guy!
Damn this guy!
Okay, I mean,
He's insane!
this is why I roll in front of you. I mean, he rolled a nat 20 to spit on you, which I'm still pretty proud.
And that's pretty impressive.
It's a good
Ash
use of a nat
is-
20.
Ash is going to. What could she do? She's in quite a small room. I was going to say she swings her axe to hit like next to his head. But I
There's
think
not really enough
there's
room to
not
swing
really
an
enough
action here.
space.
Not with
So,
you,
right,
two others,
she
and a girl on a
will-
bed.
I'm
destroy my room.
guessing though there probably is space for her to hold it to his throat, which is what she'll do.
Sure, you
Or a
might have to do a
or a
weird
javelin,
angle,
maybe.
but yeah.
She has a javelin. I guess that would probably be easier, so she could do it with the javelin.
Yeah, you can hold the javelin point to his throat.
And by the way, for the record, if there was any query about it, she 100% looks like she will not have any problem just killing him.
Hey,
Sure.
Do you
Ash,
remember he's gagged? Just
Shut up, Fleet.
can you take a step back for a second?
Ash turns a face to you so that he can't see it, and she winks.
Maybe try something.
Ash will give you enough space to try whatever you're trying, but she is still keeping a javelin pretty close to this guy's neck.
Lee is going to sit down.
Kind of duck under Ash's arm.
Lee is going to sit down on the bed next to this guy's head, pull the gag out of his mouth.
There's not really room for that.
Just sit down somewhere, kneel down, just close to his
Yeah.
face. Pull the gag out. Look, we want to let you go. We really do. Just have to know something. Something about why you're following us and what this means for us. Then we can let you go and everyone goes on their merry way. You can still follow us. You can still track us down. We just want to know why.
Persuasion.
Ah, my best stat. Of course.
cool.
Okay, I guess I'm rolling well tonight. Fair enough. Understandable.
How long has this whole misadventure taken so long? Like, obviously, the hour for the short rest. How long has it been since, like, walking out and then
It was
coming
only like a 2 minutes into the avenue. There were like 5 minutes there, 2 minutes back, so an hour and 15-ish,
So it's like-
maybe.
back? 5:30 or something?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe close to 6. So his fleet's kind of trying to be nice to him. He's kind of gives you a bit of a ugly look. They will not say anything.
Well, I tried. Whatever you need to do, Ash.
Ash smiles. It's more of a grimace, but you get the idea behind it. And moves back up to this guy. She sort of leans in to his space as close as she can. And, oh, this is me being bad at words, but I feel like Ash is probably slightly less shit. Something along the lines of, I really don't have any problem killing you. In fact, I'd quite like to. I really would suggest you start telling us something.
I don't really have any problem dying.
Do you know, if it wasn't for the fact I don't want to ruin this episode, I would actually have Ash just kill him for that comment.
If
could
you would like
always-
to kill him, you can kill him.
You can always take off a leg or
It's
an
not
arm.
going to be hard.
Please don't do that in my room.
Mutilate him.
On his bed.
Phoenix's room. Let's not get it covered in blood. It's going to be a bit of a pain to clean up.
Kind of staring back at you.
In that case, why were you following us? You see, you clearly have nothing to lose. It can't hurt to talk.
There are worse things than dying. Unfortunately, you cannot inflict them on me.
So who can?
He just smiles.
You working for someone? Or are they making you do these things? Ash isn't expecting a response, but she's watching his face quite closely to see if there's any, I guess, any emotional recognition or anything at all.
Insight?
Oh god, no.
Do
Are
it.
you expecting me to ask you to roll?
Do it.
I have another inspiration that I'm going to blow.
Sure.
Yes! Better!
Right, what did you say again? Sorry? Something about something he's working for.
Yeah, I was like, are you working for someone, or is someone making you work for them?
There seems to be a general kind of... It's kind of a smirk at the obviousness of the question, but basically from the kind of half concealed smirk on his face, you gather it's towards that he's working for someone, then being forced to work for someone. End of the spectrum.
Phoenix is going to sigh and just grab a chair from the corner of the room, pull it up, do that kind of, it's very stereotypical sit backwards on it, kind of rests his hands on the back of the chair and just go, look, we get it. You're not intimidated by us. You don't have to be. It really makes no difference. But this is going to go one of two ways. You're going to tell us something that we want to know, or you're not. Let's choose option A. You don't tell us anything. That's fine. That little thing I've been trying to do, it'll work eventually. I just have to keep trying. Maybe you're thinking, I don't know, my friends, they'll eventually come looking for me. That's fine. Either way, we learn who's after us, which is all we want to know. Now let's say you tell us something. You don't repeatedly get your mind invaded by strange magics. My friend doesn't methodically break each of your fingers one by one. And you get to walk out of here, return to your boss, and let them know we know. That's a win-win in my book.
Roll your choice of intimidation or persuasion with advantage.
Makes no difference.
Because it's a very well constructed persuasion/intimidation.
No, Phoenix was trying to be persuasive. That was a logical argument.
He kind of contemplates you, kind of looks around, kind of just shrugs. You are not important anyway.
What a 19 didn't persuade him.
Well, no, he's going to carry on.
Give him a second to talk.
We are only interested in you because Mazoth is interested in you. That is all. News then to check out, see what that was about.
Of course, it's Mazoth.
But you're not working for Mazoth. You're working for the third party that has an interest in his ritual. And this time, Phoenix will insight. Let's see if there's
Sure.
any flash recognition there. It's also not great, but ignore the advantage. It's the 9.
It's a
Damn it.
9. Oof.
You kind of get the. Yeah, he's kind of. You concede from what he said that they're a third party. In terms of whether they interfered with the ritual or not, you don't really get a read on that. Look, I'm just doing my job. Tell you what, I give you a way to get in contact with her, and you only break some of my bones.
I think if you did
I'll
that,
make
we
you even
wouldn't
better
break
offer.
any.
We don't break any of your bones, and we'll take your offer anyway. Because we're a merciful folk, and we want your patron to know that. Because if she's interested in Mazoth, well, she didn't have to go through this charade. We're very interested in Mazoth ourselves. This could be a very mutually beneficial situation.
I very much doubt that.
It's better
we
to
captured you,
try
didn't we?
anyway.
You're late. I'll tell you how to find her. You go to I know the name. The Legend Weasel. That is where I get my information from.
Who do we
Any
ask
specifics, or is that just a, what do they call them? Hive of scum and villainy? Very clearly said jokingly, not seriously.
Depends on your outlook.
See? This didn't have to be hard at all.
You appreciate your cooperation, even if it was a little bit forced.
Ash looks marginally disappointed.
Is it an act disappointed or actual disappointed?
She is actually a little bit disappointed.
Right.
She wanted to break some bones.
She wanted to kick this guy to shit. Honorably, obviously. Because that's my whole character concept.
Obviously, with honor.
Honorable
No.
kicking to shit.
No. Why don't you untie me? I leave the city. That way, when you don't come back, I will not starve to death.
Seems
We
fair
are-
I
enough.
think it might be worth
we are
leaving you
to
here
our
as
word.
insurance, but they've made promises. I suppose we should keep them.
As I say, you will not come back.
I'll insight that. See if he seems
Sure.
to the proof about actually keeping to this semi-bargain.
I was going to say the same, so
Okay. In that case, I would have lent insight to Urashi, but it's a bit late now, so.
that's okay. Do you want me to roll for it or not?
Yeah, you are, if you would like.
Fucking hell! The dice gods are not with Ash today, are they?
I mean, you don't really know if you can trust any word out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And for all you know, the Wretched Weasel might not be an information point. It could just be a convenient murder trap point. So, foggiest you don't have any.
It's nice.
Yep, run along before we change our minds or some other intimidating criminal phrase.
He
Yeah,
wiggles his arms and legs, which are still tied to the bed.
Ash, yeah,
I thought Flea had seen that, sorry.
Do you already tied? I didn't hear anyone say that. I might have just not heard.
I don't think I said it. I thought it was implied. Fleet will untie him. And just say,
All right, cool.
get out of here.
Yeah.
Kind of just nod his head and just saunter along the corridor and down the stairs.
when I'm sure he is out of earshot. I think that went better than expected.
Yeah, it just took him a minute to realize that we weren't gonna kill him. Well, not that. That we were just
I
looking for
still think we
information.
should have.
No.
There's being pragmatic, and then there's being unnecessary. Whether or not this guy leaves the city or whatever really doesn't matter at this point. We know someone's interested in us, but it's not because of us. It's not because of hope.
Which is comforting.
They're interested in Mazoth, and honestly, I am still more than a little interested myself. Seeing as this investigation isn't going to wrap up anytime soon, might as well take a little bit of matters into our own hands. And if it turns out these guys are the ones who interrupted that ritual, and I think we should know who that is. Worst case scenario, we pass it over to our sergeant friend.
Absolutely. I think we can do.
Captain friend. Garrick.
I think we can do a decent chunk of good here.
Maybe surreptitiously, the law enforcement around these parts doesn't typically take kind to people doing vigilante work, but if we get something concrete, if we get something that's undeniably helpful, well, that should mitigate the annoyance some.
Fenians tend to be a bit of a by-the-book kind of people.
Yeah, but if we drop a suspect on their doorstep, that's...
I mean, yeah. They would not object to a definitive suspect on their doorstep, no.
But I think that might be enough aforementioned vigilante work for the day. We should probably tackle this in the morning when we're a bit more fresh-faced and at our best.
Yeah, I think that's certain.
Gives our friend a chance to get out of town, as it were.
All right. So you're just planning on spending another night here in the Leaky Barrel?
Yep. How much is that for the night?
It's were people sharing rooms? I can't remember. I do stop doing that.
I think Ash and Fleet do still,
Yes.
right?
8 silvers for the share, gold for a single. Food is included.
Always appreciated. So yeah, Phoenix will go through his nightly ritual, casting alarm around his room, and
Sure.
then settle in for a long rest.
All right.
How do
then-
Ash and Fleet prepare for sleep? Are there any rituals they go through, or is it just find bed, sleep?
Pretty sure Ash's attitude is just find bed, sleep.
I mean, they have the pre-sleep gravel-filled pillow fight, but you know.
Gravel filled.
Oh my god.
No, Fleet does a bit of meditating. Before they go to sleep, she'll just poke Ash to see if she's still awake. Gone yet?
Well, Ash probably is asleep. I feel like if you grow up on essentially what I imagine is a massive campsite, you're going to fall asleep pretty fucking quickly, aren't you?
You're probably also not the heaviest of sleepers, though, I wouldn't imagine.
No, she'll wake quite easily.
Ash?
Hmm? Yes?
What do you remember about your family?
I did not hear that question, sorry, Britty.
How much do you remember about your family?
A bit. I mean, There's a lot of them, but I didn't really leave all that long ago. Why do you ask?
Like how far back do you remember? Like, you remember anything about when you were a kid?
As you ask the first part of that question, I think you'll see it because you know her well enough. Ash tenses ever so slightly at the how far back question, but relaxes when you finish and ask about
Oh,
childhood.
I just got it.
The DM gets it. Well, a fair bit. I've got lots of brothers, lots of cousins that I grew up with. My big brother taught me how to carve. My mom and my big sisters and my cousins taught me how to hunt. There were a lot of us all of the time. No one ever really got any one-to-one time, as it were, but I remember all of them, I suppose.
And they're good memories?
Yeah, pretty much. Why? Are you okay?
Okay is a strong word. Distressed is actually looking a little weak right now.
Oh. Ash is completely unequipped to have this conversation.
Phoenix helped me remember something that is, stressful, to say the least. I don't know, it just always helps me to hear other people are doing well by their family or with their family, at the very least. It's something that makes me happy to see.
Oh. I can't imagine it was easy growing up around people that are not all that like you.
Well, I gotta be honest, for a while I didn't really notice it. You don't exactly get to
Family
look
is
at
family,
yourself.
isn't it?
Yeah, you don't exactly get to look at yourself that often, and I wasn't treated too differently.
Well, that's good. Listen, Fleet, I'm a half-orc. Most of my family are half-orcs, but obviously not all of them, because that's where the half comes from. There were people in my family group, not many, not any I knew well, but there were the odd one or two that looked a bit different than the rest of us, and I don't think anyone really minded for them either, so... Are you alright with them now, or did something happen?
Well, I'm alright with my family, it's just my mom, like, sort of learned that I really just got up and left at a doorstep. Not exactly what I imagined it was. And,
Oh,
it hurts a little bit. Even though I know it probably wasn't entirely by choice. Still just stings, you know?
I can imagine it would, but I suppose you have to remember that that decision, however hurtful it might be that it was made, that decision is what led you to have the family that you do have.
I suppose. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Hang on. And Ash will dig around in her. I guess she's got she's got a backpack, hasn't she? Yeah. She'll dig around in her backpack until she finds a small carved figure. It's a bit shit, and it's tiny. She goes, here. My this was just one of the first ones of these that I made with my brother. I think it is good sometimes to have something that reminds you of family. I'd like you to have it.
Fleet is just staring at this thing and looks like she's about to fucking cry.
Looking at Ash's face, you get the sense that she's terrified that you are going to cry and she won't know what to do.
I mean, I couldn't accept this. This is something
Oh,
you and your brother made. Like,
I've made many more with him since. Please, take it.
thank you. He just very gingerly takes it and walks back over to her bed and just sits with it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Fleet. And listen, if you ever want to know more about my family or yours, well, if I can help, I will.
That's appreciated. Thank you.
All right.
Now, with that, Ash obviously runs out of ability to say words and just sort of nods at you and then goes back to going to sleep.
All right. So as the night passes and you all slip into peaceful-ish slumber, I believe we'll take a quick break there because it's a convenient time to. So we'll be back in 10 minutes or so to carry on. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reddit. I hope you enjoyed that little break. We are back now, though. Yeah, so you've kind of had your little night's rest. You feel rested. I promise I'm good with words. And the morning is ahead of you. What is the plan?
Meet up with the others downstairs for breakfast.
Sure, you can have breakfast.
Note the distinct absence of Althea and Yareth.
Yeah, Yara seems to be locked in his room. She would knock, you wouldn't get a response. Althea will say she's not feeling it, and she probably thinks someone should stay with Yareth just in case.
Suspected as much, and that's probably for the best in this case. Yeah.
They might mysteriously teleport to wherever you happen to be at another point, but we'll come to that later. Yes, you are. Gather downstairs, you can enjoy your breakfast. Yada, yada, yada. What is the plan?
Good question. So do we just stroll in there and ask to see the head honcho?
Why
I think
not?
we've proven pretty effusively that we're not great at the subterfuge. We should probably stick to what we are good at, and, well, I think the direct approach seems to describe it fairly well.
Shush.
Maybe not as well as
My
some, but
apologies.
fairly well. Distinctly
Direct
average.
approach being the party name of the campaign that me and Ferret are in.
Direct
Ah,
approach
so
is
I
not a
think that
terrible
in on
party
purpose.
name.
It's pretty good.
We
And-
just surfed a Tarask into the side of the mountain, so
We did crash a Tarask into
it's
a mountain.
applicable. No, we
God,
didn't
why
crash
would
it,
we
we
not
surfed
want
it. We were controlling where it went, therefore it was surfing, not a crash. We were in complete control the entire time.
Yeah, but there is now a mountain falling on us. Anyway. But it's a
Yes.
mountain that's falling on us directly.
Anyway,
And
back
downwards
to Gaecia.
To Gaecia.
You are enjoying. You've just finished your breakfast. What are you going to do with your day?
I think we're going to head to the Wretched Weasel. Or at least find out where that is.
Sure.
Maybe not ask the bartender this time. Doesn't typically go over well when you ask a tavern owner where another tavern is.
Yeah. Hey, where's your closest competition?
From the sound of this place, I very much doubt it is competition to a Merryfall Association building.
All right. So you walk out into the streets and gonna try and find someone who can direct you to the Wretched Weasel. Then.
Probably could have asked that guy for directions, but he's long gone now.
I think we got everything out of him that he was willing to divulge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'd ask around. Probably not anyone that looks particularly well-to-do, but people.
Sure. You'll have to ask a few people. Most people will give you a bit of a where, but eventually you kind of get a general direction. It's kind of on the other side of the cities. You kind of got to go for a bit of a walk, but you can, you've got all day, so you can start heading that direction if that is your desire.
Off we go into the proverbial lion's den.
All right. So you start making your way. Can I have a group perception? And then Phoenix specifically can ask you to make a different perception check. So you can still participate in the group if you like, but I need you to make a separate one as well.
Would you guys like to hand the
blend
perception to me?
advantage to Fleet and then make my own. Aw.
God almighty, Ash. Hey, it's not her day.
Yesterday wasn't a day either.
So was Fleet rolling straight or was Fleet rolling with advantage?
I
Fleet was
believe
rolling with advantage. So Fenix was lending advantage to the group check.
Okay, so
then-
actually you didn't need to roll because group
Oh,
check is
okay,
two dice.
excellent.
Not everybody roll.
You can ignore me then. I'm smart.
It's possible I didn't explain it very well. But yes, all right. As you make your way, kind of, across the city towards the wretched Weasel, Fleet, kind of 15 minutes walk away from the Leaky Barrel, you happen to glance down a side alley. You see a slumped figure kind of halfway down it that kind of catches your eye.
Uh-oh. Hey, guys. Pointed out to them.
Slumped. How?
As in against the wall.
Like, kind of crumpled in on themselves, or like sitting down against the wall with their head.
As in kind of crumpled as if there's no support. As in the body isn't holding itself up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let's... I'm a bit concerned. Does anybody else want to go look?
I really don't think the morning drunks are
Ash
our.
will go and look. She's not bothered.
All right, Ash. As you wander kind
Hand
of,
gripping axe slightly tighter than normal.
Sure. Well, you have to take it out, but yeah.
Ash is walking towards this unconscious person holding an axe.
All right. As you make your way down the alley, you kind of glance down, and you can get a better look. This is your friend from yesterday. As far as you can tell, he has slit his own throat.
Oh,
The dagger's in his hand,
Well.
covered in blood, and there's a nice pool, kind of, in the alley.
why did he
Doesn't
take
smell
away all the
particularly
fun I could have had?
Can I determine if they actually slit their own throat, or has this been staged to look like suicide?
Investigation.
Because yesterday he did not give the impression he was of the die on my own blade variety.
I mean, he
As
certainly
far as
seemed
you
like
can tell, it was a suicide. He did it to himself. You don't get any traces of foul play.
He was pretty happy to have his throat slit by one of us, so I suppose it makes sense.
He didn't particularly seem bothered by death.
Yeah, he did say, "I don't fear death."
There is a difference between not fearing
Right.
death and slitting your own throat.
I
The information.
call it superstition, Phoenix. I know I am, but do you not think someone with strange connections to magical persons and an apparent lack of all fear for death is not a little bit concerning?
I think it's more concerning that he considered the information he gave away worth his own life.
Perhaps, depending on what his connections are, perhaps this is not the end of his life.
We should probably tell the guards about this. Don't want a suicide or a death associated with us with an ongoing investigation.
15 minutes away from your tavern, to be fair.
Well, we don't also want to be seen walking out of an alleyway with a dead body and then not reporting it.
I mean, are you picking up? I would assume you hadn't touched up to this point.
We have not. I have not touched anything.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But my own investigation seems to suggest strongly that this is a genuine suicide. I'm hoping an impartial third-party investigation would reveal much the same.
I think
Well,
honesty
don't
is our best policy here. I think we should take this to the captain.
Maybe not take is the right word. Maybe bring.
Maybe, well, that's what I
Show
meant.
to
We
the
take the
captain.
information to him. Maybe we leave out the bit where we kidnapped him.
Walking to the outside of the alleyway, do I spot a guard anywhere nearby?
It's probably a guard somewhere down the main street wherever you're walking along.
Whistle him over.
There actually could be a couple of them because they practice the buddy system, as do the vast majority of guards, to be fair. Lizard folk will kind of march on over while his buddy keeps an eye. What seems to be the issue?
Found a dead body.
Where?
Just down the alley. Thought he was a drunk, and looks like he slit his own throat.
Stay there. You'll kind of
Can I-
wander
I'll
down the
just
body.
also-
Wander
before
down
he
the
gets
alley.
there, as Phoenix was leaving to get the guard, Ash would have put her axe away.
Sure.
She's not going to be found by a guard standing over a dead body holding an axe.
Elizabeth will kind of kneel down and seemingly conducts similar investigation to Fleet. Last night, I guess. He kind of looks you up and gives you a bit of a look over. You do not
Fenix
seem
doesn't have
the
anything
pocket
pointy on him.
type. He kind of just shrugs. Be on your way.
Is this something we should be concerned about?
Do not concern yourselves.
All right. Keep up the good work.
He seems to have lost interest in me for now.
No, okay. I said I didn't touch anything, so that's fine. Yeah.
All right, we carrying on?
Yeah, I guess we do.
Sure. As you carry on your way after that slightly disturbing encounter, you make your way through something of a market. And kind of, there's a lot of smells. However, Phoenix, you get something that's vaguely familiar. It takes you a moment, but eventually it kind of hits you. It's a specific kind of florally, incensey kind of fragrance. You reckon this was kind of some of the incense that was burning on the symbol that was smoking at Mazoth Theatre, the one that produced the smoke that made the demons. And you kind of glance around and you see a small little shop. Seems to be selling kind of herbs and stuff like that. And that seems to where the odor is emitting from.
One moment, guys. I need to check something.
Okay.
He'll kind of move along the stall, kind of checking them individually, seeing if he can determine the one he thinks the smell is coming from.
Yeah, you think it was coming from a specific kind of shop.
Oh no, I mean like the herbs on display.
As in, are you going? So right. So you smell. You've identified a specific shop that the smell is coming from.
So it's like it's a proper shop. It's like a building.
Yes, it's a herb/incense kind of shop. It's not a market store. There's actually a shop kind of. It's a building as opposed to a market store.
Yeah, it would go in.
All right. As you kind of wander in, you are battered by smells. You're quite almost somewhat surprised that you managed to pick out the particular one, but perhaps because it was a somewhat traumatic event, the kind of smell of it kind of imprinted itself on you. As you kind of look around, you notice that there is a shopkeeper. They appear to be a wood elf, kind of 5 foot tall, kind of close cut, kind of browny hair, and a kind of smattering of freckles.
Morning.
Morning. Pleasure to meet you.
Thought I smelled something familiar in here.
Something familiar? Oh.
Something familiar, yeah. Kind of move through this. So Do I know which herb I'm smelling, or is it just overpowering in here?
You can take a minute to kind of sniff around and kind of like a dog try and pinpoint it, but eventually you will. It is this is one of the smallest amounts he has, because a lot of the herbs are kind of just stuff for cooking, so kind of sage and coriander, stuff like that. However, this is kind of very small little box. It appears to be some kind of powdered flour by the name of Olimer. Put that in chat. Oops, caps lock. Oh, and you kind of sniff, and you kind of put your oh my god, face to the box. You kind of deeply, and yeah, this is definitely what the herb you smelled.
Olimer. Now, why is that so familiar? Any particular properties to Olimer?
Properties, well, it's rather the opposite. It is distinctly known for not having very many properties whatsoever. Its general use is in kind of showmanship. It creates a lot of smoke that's kind of a non-traditional color. So tricksters, magicians, stuff like that, they like to use it to enhance the act, so to say.
You don't say.
In terms of general properties, it's not good for healing, magic, anything like that, really.
Did you get much call for it then? You don't seem to stock a lot. Is it rare?
It is somewhat rare, and it's, as I say, it's kind of a niche use. It grows down in the southern wastes, kind of, around, specific oases. They kind of, get picked and get imported all the way up here, so it's a touch pricey, as I say, but it's used by people who like to be a bit extra, to put it
Any
out.
I don't know. Any recent call for it? I'm standing here at a loss. I know I've smelled this before. I'm just trying to figure out where.
You had a Mazoth theater. He has a semi-routine pickup from me. You got some 3-4 days ago. Would have been sooner, but the shipment was a little bit delayed. Slight drag.
I've heard that there was some kind of commotion a couple nights ago, right?
Yeah, I heard about that. People say, some people in the audience got up and caused a disturbance, and guards put an end to it. I don't listen too much to those kind of rumors.
Yeah, they tend to get
self when he next came by.
Yeah, I can't trust rumors. They tend to get wildly out of shape. I don't know. I guess I must have just been in the area. Yeah, I think I was having a walk that night. Must have caught some on the breeze.
Yeah. Oh, tell you what, there was one other chap. About 2 days ago. No, 3. Sorry, yes, it was before the performance. A little after Mazoth himself came by. He came and he had a poke around. He had a good sniff, and he did all sorts of detection stuff, but he didn't actually buy any, which was tad odd. Left behind a fancy ring. I sent me lad chasing after him. Unfortunately, wasn't able to catch up and give him back to him. He went into this kind of tavern, and the boy wasn't able to send him around the back, and the barkeep was a bit of an old sod, wouldn't even pass on the ring, so still got it.
Well, that's a bit odd, and
it is.
The more I think about it, like it just seems so unlikely that in all that commotion, I would have smelled one specific herb on the breeze. Can I see the ring? Maybe I know this guy. Maybe I've smelled it around his house.
Well, it seems reasonable. Sure. You kind of duck into the desk and kind of a little rummage and kind of pull it out. Yeah, it definitely looks fancy and magic, but if you look here, it seems like there's something missing. He kind of passes it over to you. It seems to be kind of a gold band. There's small little rooms inside it, and yeah, there is indeed kind of where a stone would be inset. The stone is missing. But as you look at it, you kind of just get. It seems like a magic ring vibes off it instead of this is a fancy ring vibes.
So, sorry, I don't get magic ring vibes.
No, you do
I
get
do.
magic instead of fancy, just purely from kind of how it's made and the designs and how they kind of seem to be leading in almost to where the gem would be inset.
And the stone is missing, so there's no kind of identifying markings on it.
No.
Just a plain gold band, but it feels magical.
Yeah, you reckon you might be able to, like, something like an identify spell might give you something, but it might not be 100% everything.
That implies I have an identify spell.
Yeah, well, you'd probably be aware of what one is.
Yeah. Curious. I mean, seems a shame. Even if I did know this feller, not much you can tell from an empty gold band, right? I don't suppose. Was the stone there when he came in, or?
No, when it was, well, at least when me boy saw it and picked it up, it was, like that.
Huh. I'm. It's a bit of a vice, I'm afraid, but I'm a bit partial to curiosities myself. Maybe I could take that off your hands. Ring without a stone. It's got that kind of little air of mystery, doesn't it?
I suppose. I mean, I did make a good. Well, at least my boy did make a good effort of sending it after him. Roll persuasion.
Oh, I'm gonna DM inspiration that. Why not?
Sure.
Watch me roll worse.
It's not worse.
Hey, look, it's
Technically, it's not worse.
And as I say it, Phoenix will pull out. What's the weight of this ring? He'll pull out 10 gold, which by weight alone would be worth more than the gold of the ring itself. Should be.
Yeah, but the ring has clearly been worked.
Yes, it
and has magic in it. But weight alone, but gold alone, yeah. You kind of, as you kind of tinkle the 10 gold onto the table, this wood elf will kind of look you up and down, and kind of glance furtively around. Yeah, why not? It's just taking up space. Anyone
Thank you,
else?
Karen.
You didn't get it from me.
Of course not. Adds to the air of mystery, doesn't it?
Quiet.
Well, thank you very much. While I'm here, any recommendation? We, my friends and I, we spend a lot of time on the road. Anything you'd recommend?
Well, I can supply you herbs and stuff to make your meals slightly less bland. If you're of a magical inclined nature, I can supply herbs and incenses of a magical quality. I don't know of anything beyond components and food. If that
I've been traveling more than long enough that I've had more rations than any sane person could ever have in their lifetime. Some flavoring herbs sounds delightful.
I can get you a flavor kit, sure. DM has no idea how much that might be, so 5 gold, and you get like a full spice set. Kind of you could even put it on like a utility belt kind of thing.
Yeah, a
Sure.
spice pouch sounds delightful. You will put down the 5 gold for that.
Yeah, it's kind of like little bottles all of like paprika and stuff like that. So it's a good selection.
Thank you very much. Have a nice morning.
You too.
He will go and rejoin the others. Looks like someone else was sniffing around for the components that Mazoth was using. Left behind this.
Well, that's odd.
Yeah, stone without a ring. Sorry, ring without a stone. And a little bit magical.
That's...
Does it seem like the kind of magic that can be attuned to?
probably not when it's broken or incomplete.
Fair enough. All right. I don't know. Might be unconnected, but seems too much like a coincidence.
Yeah. The fact that there was someone else poking around into the stuff that he uses, that's a bit suspicious.
On a lighter note, I am thoroughly sick of trail rations. Got something that should help.
Nice.
Alright, sorry about the tangent. Just caught a smell. Should we carry on?
Yeah, after you.
All right. So you carry on your way, and eventually you will come across it's kind of down a little side alley, and kind of the incredibly beat up and battered sign, kind of swinging in the wind, will read in heavily peeling letters. You can just about make out "Wretched Weasel."
Well, don't this place look like a treat, huh? Who wants the first step in?
Phoenix will just look at Ash.
Yeah, boy, that's Ash.
All right.
Why not?
As you step in, your senses are assaulted. There is a thick haze of smoke that occupies the top half of the room, and you kind of have to cough as you walk in. The smell is revolting. You notice a puddle or two of vomit that have seemingly been just left to stew on the floor. You notice rat droppings piled up on benches and tables. There appears to be one patron who looks decidedly down on their luck and is completely passed out, kind of leaning on the table. You gather they've probably been there for quite a while. The kind of far end, there is a grouchy-looking human bartender who seems to be kind of half dozing, but you notice one eye kind of open as you kind of walk in.
Delightful.
Well, this is quaint.
That word certainly went through my mind, and then proceeded to stroll around the block for fear for its life.
That was both an in and out of character laugh, Matt. Congratulations. Well, what next?
Yeah, I guess Phoenix will tempted to say walk, but I feel like the correct adjective is pick his way through the tavern.
Yeah, that seems
Towards the
appropriate.
bartender.
You kind of
Yeah.
approach, and you kind of stand in front of him. He's still kind of leant back, feet up on the bar. Only one eye is open, staring at you.
Morning, of a kind. I believe the three of us will have a drink
Something like
of something. And if you're amenable, we'd also be quite interested with a meeting with her.
Hey.
Her.
Sorry, I don't know who you're talking about.
Insight check.
Sure.
Where is Althea when you need her? Hi!
Apparently, we don't.
He knows exactly who you mean. However, you get the impression he is placed here to block passage.
As I said, we'd like a drink, and he will put down 5 gold, and a meeting.
You kind of lean forward, take your coin. He will stand up, wander over to one of the very old and broken-looking barrels, and will decant something that looks like it might be ale, and put it down in front of you, sit back in his stool, lean, and put his feet back up on the bar.
Thank you.
I'm not sure we're getting our meeting.
Shh. Are there booths in this tavern, or is it all tables?
It's all kind of benches and tables.
Was there an upstairs?
Not that you can see from here.
Okay.
There is, behind the bar, there is a door that seems to lead into a back room.
I guess Phoenix will begin making his way over to anything that resembles a reasonably clean table.
Perception?
Yeah, no. Wasted all the good luck.
You think you find what you might be the cleanest table. You kind of wander around. You kind of go to sit down, but kind of an inch before your buttocks splash into it, you realise the bench you chose has a puddle of puke on it.
This
He
place.
will use a mage hand to kind of scrape it off onto the floor.
You can do as good a job as you can.
And then he will cast a surreptitious ray of frost to kind of freeze any kind of residue that might remain before sitting down.
Sure. I mean, it's cold.
It's better than the alternative.
Sure. I mean, that would be cold as well, I imagine. Yeah, you can kind of sit around your little table and enjoy your quote-unquote drink. I'm sure you can imagine how not great it is.
Oh yeah.
Urashi has described stuff as piss in the past. This is probably the thing that would be most accurate.
Oh, he's not drinking it.
Well, you can just tell from the odor.
Yeah. Occasionally, he will reach into a pouch and just take a sniff from the spice pouch to smell something else.
Sure.
So what's our plan now? Are we just waiting, or gonna try and force our way in?
Well, they know we're here, and if our friend's state was anything to go on, I don't think he particularly delivered any sort of message. So, I mean, 3 strangers walk in, ask for a meeting. Gotta pique their interest. He definitely knew who I was talking about.
I wonder if they were expecting him to not come back. A worrying thought.
Pretty poor business practice.
I mean, he seemed very willing to pass away.
Yeah, I really don't know what to make of that. Someone that willing to throw their life away, I don't get it.
I don't like it.
What could be so frightening? Or
It's
what
a
could be worse
worrying
than-
thought.
That's the thing. He didn't look scared.
He just mentioned that there were worse things that other people could do, and Eesh.
The door you mentioned going further into the building, kind of in the same state as the rest of the tavern?
From this side, it seems to be a not particularly well looked after. However, it seems to steal along quite well. so you probably couldn't hear something that's going on the other side.
Is there a window nearby looking outside?
No, there are no windows.
Phoenix will get up and move towards the door as if to get a kind of breath of fresh air. While the door's open, he'll summon Moat and then walk back to the table. While Moat's outside, they will do a quick circle of the building, see if there are other entrances, other windows, and any potential way for a small bird to slip into the building.
Sure. Perception.
I found the advantage button.
Nice.
Yeah, as he kind of has a flap around, based on the size, you imagine the building's kind of 2/3 the kind of main parlour room that you're in, and then maybe a third kind of whatever this back room is. As he kind of flutters around the back there isn't a window or anything. However, he does notice what appears to be kind of a gap where there was a window, but then was bricked over. Based on the construction, you don't think there's an upstairs. Although based on kind of the neighborhood and the surrounding buildings, there might be a basement.
Basement sounds like exactly what we need.
As soon as Moat's relayed all that back into the pocket dimension.
Puff of smoke, he was gone.
Has the bartender moved at all since we sat down?
Surprisingly, he seems to have moved not at all, which is kind of impressive. Though his one eye is still fixed on you. It would have followed you to the door and back.
Right. Are we looking to make friends, or are we looking to find answers?
I mean, personally, I'm always for friends.
I could put our friend to sleep there. We could have a better snoop around, or
For a
we
minute.
could wait it out.
Or we could just snoop anyway and see what happens.
I mean, we could always knock on that back door. See how the barkeep or anybody else reacts.
Yeah, it is behind the bar, the other door.
Phoenix will stand up, pick up the, I'm assuming tankard, because I don't feel like this is the place that stocks glasses, but
Yeah, it's kind of somewhere between a cup and a tankard.
he'll plop it down next to the one kind of passed out patron. 'Cause clearly he can stomach it. And then walk back over. How's that meeting coming along?
He just kind of gives you the look of, I think you know. You're not getting no meeting, buddy.
Phoenix will completely ignore it, go, brilliant, and hop straight over the bar.
He doesn't seem to move.
Lovely. Walk over and knock on the back door.
Seems to be no response. The barkeeper will kind of and slowly get up out of his stool. You're not supposed to be behind here. I'm gonna have to ask you to stand aside.
Oh, by all means, it's very polite when people open doors for people. He will kind of step back. Not leave the bar, though.
As if expecting him to open the fucking door.
I don't think you'll want to find out what's behind then, sir. I have to ask you to sit back down on your bench, or I might have to try and escort you out.
I think we came here to find out exactly what's behind this door. We
Kind
have
of
very-
shrugs, sits back down in the stool, leans back and puts his feet back up on the bar.
I can see we understand one another. Trying the door. Does it open?
So you kind of put your hand on the knob. It seems to turn. As you kind of pull it in, you can kind of see into the back room. It is decidedly on the small side. There is a table, which we'll get to in a minute, and there is another door. It seems to be, as far as you can tell, kind of based on the configuration of the building, you would guess that leads down to the basement.
I look back round at Ash and Fleet, see if they're following.
Fleet is bouncing in her seat, ready to go.
Thank you for the drink, and then he would walk through the door.
All right.
As soon as he goes through the door, Fleet's up and following.
All right. Ash.
Coming with.
Horse.
All right. As the three of you kind of make your way into this little room, the door will swing closed behind you. Based on the angles, you don't think it was the bartender. So,
Did we just
in
make
the
a
room,
mistake?
you get a better look at what's on the table. It's a table of very similar quality to the main tavern. On it there is a dagger, a scroll, a candle, and a box containing 4 keys.
Oh God, please, not anything that involves brain power.
What's... Fleet's gonna grab the scroll and see if it opens.
You unroll it. It seems to be
Yeah.
blank.
Blank? That don't make no sense.
Walking over to the door that leads to the basement, does it appear to be locked?
There is a lock. Are you trying it?
He'll, knowing the kind of place they are, he'll give the door a quick inspection, see if he can spot any obvious traps or...
Sure. Investigation. You kind of look it up and down. It seems fairly sturdy, much like the door into this room. It's kind of sealed, so you don't imagine as much noise they're all getting back and forth between it. As you kind of like look at the tiny crack, you kind of see a bolt across. You imagine the door is indeed locked. In terms of traps, you don't get anything of that nature.
So it's bolted from the other side, not...
Not as in like a deadbolt, as in kind of the bolt, as in the mechanism of the lock.
All right. Does it look like any of the 4 keys on the table would fit this kind of lock?
Kind of a glance, you reckon they'd go in the keyhole, yeah? They all seem to be of a similar type. In fact, the keys look almost identical to each other.
That's what I was afraid of.
Dagger, a scroll, a candle, and some keys.
Is there anything special about the dagger?
And a box.
And
You touching the dagger?
Yes.
Right, you can pick it up and you kind of look at it and you feel it. It's a fairly not well looked after utilitarian dagger. Doesn't seem to be anything special about it.
picking the scroll up from where Fleet put it down, knowing the spells that I have, can I check to see if there's an illusion over the paper?
And you can investigation to kind of inspect it. Seems to be just a regular blank old scroll.
3 items, 4 keys, and a box.
Is there anything on the box?
Pardon?
Is there anything on the box? Like, is it just plain and blank?
No, it is just a plain old box. Inside, the keys are inside. There's nothing on it, nothing under it. There's only 4 keys inside it.
Why do I feel like this is a message of some kind?
I think it's a puzzle.
Suddenly seems a strange way to store things.
Phoenix,
Is
can
there
you...
anything else in the room?
There's
Just
the door. That's about it.
Phoenix, can you light the candle?
Yeah, he would produce flame.
Candle is already lit. It's
Ah.
what is
Oh,
lighting
good.
the room. The room would be dark without it.
This is
As
a
I say,
bit.
no window.
This is a
It's
bit of a
fine, it's all that
stretch. I've heard some old stories about hidden messages in paper that are revealed by getting it heated up. Fleet's gonna hold the paper above the candle, not so it like burns, but just so it starts getting warmer.
Sure. You can try and like check for hidden message in the scroll. Doesn't seem to be any.
Oh, thought I was being smart.
Well, we might just be overthinking this. Phoenix will pick up the 4 keys.
Okay. You reach out. Which key are you touching first?
Are there any significant differences between the keys?
At a glance, they all seem to be the same.
With a more thorough investigation.
As you kind of look down in them, they seem to be the same. We're just never the 1, 2, 3, 4. They all seem to be pretty much the same as each other.
Then he would pick up the 4th key.
All right. As you reach down and touch key number 4. Okay. As you kind of reach down, you kind of pick it up. It starts to get warm in your hands. Very, very quickly, to the point where you take 4 fire damage. As you try to let it seems to be stuck to your hand.
So 2 fire damage.
What to do?
Phoenix will cast Mage Hand so that the hand kind of overlaps with his.
Mhm.
And then the Mage Hand will pick the key out of his hand, and he will kind of move his hand back so that the Mage Hand is holding the key instead.
Okay, so you're trying to kind of like I don't want to say no clip, but it's kind of like a glitch in video game.
I
Kind
mean,
of
you're
thing,
not
where you're
wrong.
phasing the mage hand out of your hand.
Yeah.
Okay. Make me spell casting ability, please.
So is that intelligence with proficiency? So
Yes.
that's the same as an investigation check. 2
Sure.
more, and I get 2 more, and I get the 20.
Yeah. So you kind of overlap your hand, your mage hand with your hand. You kind of it takes a bit of effort, kind of your mental energy to kind of take it away. And during that time, you do take another 2, so 1 fire damage. But eventually, you'll kind of yank the key out of your own hand using your hand, and it will kind of clatter across the floor, and it will seemingly kind of just melt into sludge that will dissipate.
Ow.
That didn't look comfortable. So,
Maybe for me more than most.
There's probably
although
minor blistering on Phoenix's hand.
it's probably used to it. If we're going for associations, though, key, candle. I think that might have been the candle key. This time with the mage hand, he will pick up key number 3.
While it's in the box, the mage hand seems to pass through it.
Ah. Looking around it that way.
do you want me to try
Actually,
and
no,
grab
it
it?
doesn't pass through. As the mage hand tries to enter kind of the compartment of the box, it kind of dissipates as it goes in.
If I walk over, is the 4th key still kind of burning its way through the floor?
No, it's kind of completely melted and into nothingness now. There is no more trace of it.
Hmm. We're missing something here. We're missing a
There's gotta be
Key.
something, right?
rifle.
If Ash grabs the dagger, can she try and scoop one of the keys out with the dagger? A bit like, fishing egg white out of a saucepan with a knife. Egg shell, even. You know what I mean.
Sure, you could try and wrangle it out of the box. Which one are you trying to wrangle out of the box?
Fenix said the 3rd one, so I'll go for the 3rd one.
Sure. You kind of wrangle it out, and it kind of clatters onto the table. It is now on the table.
Next, do you want to see if you can do your
Yeah.
hand thing?
Does a mage hand seem capable of picking it up now?
It seems to grasp it and kind of pick it up. Yeah.
And doesn't start heating up or burning?
Doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Okay, he'll float it over to the door and try it in the lock.
As you kind of try to use the mage hand to put the key in the lock, the mage hand will be dispelled, and the key will clatter to the floor.
I don't mind trying if you want someone to try and stick it in.
Well, let's try all the avenues first. He'll pick up the scroll and kind of pinching the paper in his fingers, he will pick up the key, almost like using like a tissue to pick up something.
Yeah.
He'll use the paper to cover his fingers with the key.
All right, so this is key 3. All right. So as you kind of pick it up, you feel a kind of what's the word? Kind of that's it. Wave of kind of sickness almost wash over you. I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw, please.
As soon as he feels this, he will immediately drop the key.
All right, I still need you to make the save. All
Ooh.
right.
Oh, Phoenix, sweetheart.
I'm gonna.
You take 4 poison damage,
Okay.
and you are now poisoned. You have the poison condition. As kind of you feel this wave and you drop the key will kind of into a puff of green smoke.
Okay. Brute forcing, not the way to go, but now we have 2 keys left.
The keys aren't just a misdirection. Looking a little bit
Hang
paler.
We're just gonna pick up the dagger. Try
Sure.
to use it as a key to the door.
You kind of slide the dagger into the lock. It definitely fits, and you kind of wiggle it around, but the door doesn't seem to unlock.
Darn. It was worth a shot.
You do reckon both the scroll and the candle might fit in as well if you were to try it based on like their proportions. I'm just saying.
How would a candle fit in the door lock?
It's a long, thin one.
Well, Phoenix, if you want to try the candle, I'll try the scroll. Maybe the keys are a misdirection.
Well, we might as well try the ones that are left, surely.
Well, if they're gonna hurt us, let's try the things that probably won't hurt us first.
Okay. Well, Phoenix is going to pick up the candle
Sure.
and drop. I went through the paper, but paper's pretty thin. He's going to kind of drip wax onto the end of one of the keys to create kind of like a wax shell.
As in kind of on the like the top bit.
Yeah.
That you would hold. Sure. To get enough dripped on to make it like a proper coating, it'd probably take an hour of
Okay,
just standing
alright.
waiting for it to melt and drip.
In which case, the other
If
thought
it's
was
long and thing, it doesn't create a lot of melted wax.
he will just lick his fingers and snuff out the candle.
Okay, you can snuff out the candle. Psst.
Anything change in the darkness?
Perception check. With disadvantage because it's absolute blackness.
So dark vision doesn't matter.
No, because dark vision is dim light, as if it's bright light, and then
Right.
And
Or
dark
dark
light
light is dim light, as in dim light being disadvantage. So
Dark
obviously,
light,
if you didn't
we
have dark
wouldn't be
vision
able to see anything.
at all. 15, you don't
bad.
notice anything change. You kind of have a look around, you look at the door, look at the table, nothing seems different in the darkness.
Okay, well, worth a shot. He'll. Actually, no, he won't relight the candle because holding a candle horizontally when it's lit is dumb. He will try the candle in the door. See if it
Right,
makes
you kind of slide it into the mechanism. You hear a click.
Try the door.
As you try the handle to the door, it seems to swing open.
That's right!
And that's where we'll end this session, because I don't want to carry on without the rest of our party.
Which makes sense.
Um,
We solved the puzzle.
Hell yeah. Mystery door.
you only touched 2 keys.
What were the
out of
other 2 going to
curiosity-
do?
Yeah, I might as well tell you because there's no reason not to. So key number 1, Dulu, if you touch it, it's a whiz save or you fall asleep.
Oh.
And you can't just shake them awake. You have to try and be clever. Basically, is how I put it. And then key number 2, it comes alive and tries to attack you for 2d6 plus 3 necrotic damage, and you have to fight it and kill it.
2d6?
The correct 2 keys.
Yeah.
You've probably got the least bad 2. Actually, no,
Yeah.
sleeping possibly isn't too bad.
I am poisoned for. Oh, I don't even know how long this poison will last.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, poisoned is nasty.
The poison
just for
condition is
reference,
awful.
Where is it? Where is it? Conditions poison. There we go. Did you use a disadvantage on all attack rolls and ability checks?
Yeah, it's nasty.
So you see rid of the disadvantages on some of your perception stuff anyway, but whatever. On a reference, if you'd passed, you'd take 1 level of exhaustion from the poison key. So
Oh,
not as bad.
That's still bad though. You're getting
Well, it's only
disadvantage
disadvantage on ability checks.
Yeah,
so,
you're getting disadvantage on checks no matter what. Whew.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
I don't think it's intended to be nasty.
Oh yeah. It stops
so
us
we
from
might
just
come back
forcing all of the
and
keys.
have your friends basically teleport to you. Because
Catch up with
that's
us,
just
yeah.
how it would be. So let's quickly do inspiration first. So for those of you who don't know, I like to give a little reward to my players at the end of the session for really good RP or a funny joke or whatever. And because we're streaming, I thought it might be nice to allow you, the audience, to have a little say in it as well. So, have you put the straw up on the chat? Brie?
I'm putting it together.
Cool. So in it, Britty will kind of put a straw up on the chat. We've had a couple uses from Urashi today. Basically, the way I do inspiration is you see a roll and you'll be like, no, I don't like that. I want to re-roll it, and then you get to re-roll it. Instead of advantage is what regular inspiration is, which I think is a bit it's not a great buff. Yes, so Britty, who do you want to vote for?
My vote goes to Ash. I really like the way that she handled Fleet's attempt at a heart-to-heart talk. I thought it was very funny.
She was like, I don't know what to do, but have this thing.
Lumie.
Oh, I'm a little bit torn today. On the one hand, Fleet opened up and had a little heart-to-heart with me, which I really appreciate. On the other hand, Phoenix has been kind of a badass all day. I think I am. Oh, I don't know. I think I will go for Fleet today, just because of the character moment, but it was very close.
All right. And finally, Matt.
I am equally torn because I enjoyed both Urashi's bad cop and Fleet's good cop. But I think just out of sympathy for the amount of inspirations she was forced to burn today, I'm going to throw it Lumie's way.
Sure.
Yes, guys, I got pity inspiration.
No. It was pretty much 50-50 between you two, so that was just like a tipping scale.
All right. So you'll get the inspiration today, Miss Lumie. So a couple of things to say. This will be our, as I said at the beginning, this will be our last stream of the year because end of year, Christmas, December is always manic. We'll see you at some point in January. Don't know exactly which week it will be, but keep an eye out on our Twitter at rolling_with_it for updates. If you go check out our YouTube for the VODs, I will probably try and take the time when I won't be streaming over Christmas to. My goal is to catch up over this 2 or 3 weeks, however long it is. I hope to achieve it. I will at least make good progress.
Very likely the 6th from the look of it.
It's
the first
possibly
Wednesday.
6th, yes. But
Yeah, the
it may
earliest
be
will
a week
the 6th.
later. Well, tentatively say the 6th, but keep an eye out on Twitter for any updates that we'll put out.
Yeah. What else was I going to say? Of course, any feedback you can give, I always appreciate it. Any feedback from me as a dungeon master, for the stream in general, and you can give, please, we want it. Be sure to check out our second stream. We probably won't be doing it this Saturday, but we do generally do it on Saturdays at 8 o'clock. Yeah, there's also past episodes out on our YouTube as well, so go check them out. Obviously, please share with your friends, share with your family, share with your grandma. There's got to be someone who's got a grandma who loves D&D out there. Thank you very much for watching. Do you have a result from the poll? Because mine is glitched and says there's no votes.
Mine also says that, so I think there might just be no votes, which I believe makes it a 4-way tie.
All right.
With
Well,
the deciding vote.
Sure, I get the tiebreaker. So, that in mind, I think because Lumie won and then Britty got one afterwards, I'm going to give it to Fleet. So, that's just the fairest way I can think of disputing it. I'd also probably give it to Fleet anyway, because you solved the puzzle. Yes. Thank you all very much for watching. See you next time.
See you in the new year.
Hey everyone, have great Christmases or whatever else you celebrate.